I became
this sober vet.
Don't live, don't live, don't live.
Our mission is to normalize sobriety with veterans who are using and abusing substances in a harmful, self-medicating way. Welcome, world. I am Joe Urick. This is This Sober Vet, episode 14. And yes, in case you were wondering, I am Polish. I am joined by my non-Polish co-host, and that is Dr. Teresa Thomas. What up, Dr.
Nope,
T?
I'm Irish.
You're
Hey there.
Irish? Okay. Gotcha. Nice. I knew you weren't Polish because most Polish people, as soon as they find out someone else is Polish, they constantly make fun of them. So I
Really?
just kind of assumed you weren't Polish
Yeah.
for that reason.
Yeah, not Polish.
Nice. So I'm very excited about today's guest because this guy is talented on so many levels and he's pretty much an all-around badass. His name's Michael Sandilla. He's active duty Army, Green Beret with 5th Special Forces Group. He's also a singer-songwriter. This is where it really touched me. He had sent me his latest release, which is War Machine, and I've been listening to this song for like the past couple weeks. And what I love about this song is it's relevant for veterans, active duty, and even civilians because it really gives you the whole picture. Like the song follows you starting as a civilian, joining, going to war, and then being a civilian again and kind of what you're left with. And yeah, we're going to get into it later, but man, it is a very powerful song. You definitely have to check that out. You can find that on all major platforms. I was listening to it on iTunes, but yeah, it's called War Machine by Michael Sandilla. I definitely recommend you go check that out. So without further ado, welcome, Michael. How are you?
Pretty good, Joe. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for being here. Like I said, we'll get into the singer-songwriter later, but if you don't mind starting with how you decided to be a total badass in the Special Forces and join the Army, if you could kind of tell that story and maybe a couple highlights of your career so far.
Man, yeah. So it kind of just really stems back from the beginning. I was raised in Northwest Indiana, like a very, very blue collar family. Pipe fitters, electricians, bricklayers, all that stuff. So I graduated high school in 2005, went straight to the steel mill and had a good job. Like could have made a good living off it, but I just wanted to like challenge myself. I felt like there was a void. I needed more. I needed that, constant excitement. So 3 years later, I joined the Army. I joined as a combat engineer, and I did that for a while. Had a couple deployments to Afghanistan early on. Kept progressing through the ranks, had a very successful career. Like, honestly, was very comfortable with where I was. But then it got to that point where, like, could I have done it? So then I'm like starting to wonder. It's like, man, it's now or never. Like, I need to go try out. I have to go to selection because I'm like finishing my platoon sergeant time as a E7 as Sergeant First Class, and you get to a point where it's like, hey, it's like you just kind of missed the mark. And I had found good success, so I kind of fast tracked through the ranks too. So it was like, I think I was maybe 11, coming up on 12 years in, finished my key leadership development time, and I was like, hey, I'm going to try out for Special Forces. It was like a one and done for me. It's like I either make it or I don't, and that's okay, but I have to know if I can do it.
You got to try.
Outstanding.
Yep. Nice.
Yeah.
Letting me where I am now. I've been with 5th Group for 3 years now. So yeah, it's been going well. I mean, had 2 deployments in the regular Army, was stationed in Italy for a few years. Did like the Eastern European training rotations with our NATO allies back from like 2013 to 2015. Couple deployments since I've been with Special Forces now too. And yeah, it's just enjoying it. I mean, definitely the greatest accomplishment of my career, probably most difficult task I've ever had to tackle for sure. So
congratulations to you.
Yeah, congrats to
Thank
that.
you.
That's huge. I was going to ask, what were like some of the things during training for that you might not have expected or that really tested you a way that you didn't expect? Can you share that?
Yeah, so I guess selection is the hardest 3 weeks of your life. And it's kind of in phases, and it's like you have your gates where it's like a physical challenge every day. Like you don't know what you're doing. Like they make, hey, like you're going for a run and you don't know how far the run is. You don't know where the finish line is. You can't have a watch. you just have to run as fast as you can and finish as fast as you can, because obviously it's a competition.
Right.
So mentally, that aspect was like, man, one, I'm 34 or 35 years old now, and like I'm competing with like kids that, when I was in my prime, it was like mid-20s probably.
Mm-hmm.
So it was hard mentally to stay like, not to self-select myself out when I wasn't finishing in front of the pack all the time. I was like more mid-pack. So the mental aspect of it, physically, like I knew it was gonna hurt. I knew I was gonna had to prepare myself to just suffer for 3 weeks. But as long as I didn't quit,
Yeah.
I knew I had a good chance. So
Nice.
Good.
Nice.
Feel the pain, feel the burn,
Yeah.
right?
yeah. Which guys like me, we like that kind of stuff. My wife thinks
Uh-huh.
I'm crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
That's awesome. Cool. All right. So you did all that, special forces. As we know, we're all here to kind of be a ray of light for those who are struggling with substances, wherever they are in their stages, whether they're just becoming sober or if they're still in it, trying to listen to these stories to inspire them to finally pull the trigger to sobriety. So if you don't mind just telling us what your drug of choice was, kind of how you got into it, and then when did you realize it was a problem?
man, so that also stems back to like my childhood. I was born and raised around partying, and just drugs, alcohol, everything. So where like it became part of my life, like early on in high school. Um, and almost to the point where like when I joined the army, like I kind of joined also because I knew I needed to leave my current situation. Cause like I got a good job. I'm 18. I got a bachelor pad. I'm making all this money and I'm just partying my butt off like all the time. And then like now I'm going down the same path as what like my dad did, who set an absolute terrible example for me. So I'm like, man, like I really need to get out of here. I'm going to do nothing with my life, join the army. And then what do you know? Like partying is still very much a thing.
Right.
So it's like you could take yourself out of one situation, but like you're still going to gravitate towards the same type of people if that's what you're looking for. And that's like your comfort zone, So, I mean, yeah, and as we've kind of discussed earlier, like it's such a huge part of the culture, drinking in the army is just a huge, huge thing that everybody does that we promote. Almost like where they say that, hey, you're not allowed to promote alcohol and stuff. At least they used to when I first came in, but it's just something like when you tell someone you don't drink in the army, they're like, oh, you're weird,
You're the outcast.
So, yeah, but it was a long time until honestly, like there was a lot of highs and lows. I would say like the army's been the highest highs and the lowest lows. My lowest low, where like alcohol was just that and freaking sleeping pills. The army gave me Ambien.
Oh, yeah.
Ambien and Lunesta, and I kind of like cycled between those. Came back from my 2012 deployment. We had lost some buddies, and the army gave me like some sleeping pills. So it's like now I'm pretty dependent on those. And then I PCS to Italy, and they just gave me like a huge surplus supply of them, right? With no like record of I'm gonna need more of these, or at some point have to stop taking these or wean myself off of them. So now like I'm going through some things like some PTSD things, insomnia things, whatever. Drinking all the time, super depressed. And almost a year later from the event that happened in Afghanistan, my little brother passes away.
Oh,
He's 13,
Wow.
right?
sorry.
Wow.
So now I'm in Italy with no support system, really. And I'm a squad leader this time. So like, I think what really kept me going was just like having soldiers that relied on me. But I'm going to work. I'm performing very well. It's not affecting my performance, but like mentally, I'm getting off work. I'm going in my room, just getting drunk, like sitting in my room in the dark. And around that time, like I run out of my prescription of Ambien. So I'm like, I'm like losing my mind. I'm like, dude, I am not healthy. Like I'm not in a good way. Like I'm contemplating everything. Like nothing's off the table at this point in my life. And finally, like I met a behavioral health specialist. He kind of treated me a little bit, gave me some, weaned me back off of them, but it never really like helped, like finally like, okay, now I'm good off the Ambien, but now I'm still just self-medicating with alcohol
Yeah.
pretty much every day. Finally, almost a year later to that, like literally these things happen a year apart. My grandfather passes away. So now it's September of 2014 and my grandparents raised me. So again, like finally things are starting to settle. I'm like getting over one hump and it's like, bam, another one, So it's just so easy to choose alcohol because it's right there. And it's like, all your friends, like, they don't know the best thing. Like, yeah, man, let's just go out and get drunk, man. You
Right.
don't have to think
Right.
about it.
No coping skills, right? No coping
Yeah.
skills at that time. Yeah.
Yeah. And they're all going through things too, like we all have our own little internal struggles going on. So like
Mhm.
we just get together and self-destruct, together.
Together.
So
Right. Yep.
Yeah.
yeah.
Mm.
Went home on recruiting. That was the first time I quit drinking when I went home because like I got this opportunity to go home, get some closure. I lived with my grandma for a little while, like to help take care of her because it's just her in her house, which was great. Still partied off and on, but like quit for a little bit. But still, like it was just always a part of my life and my career, whether it's a military ball or whatever it may be. Never really realizing now at this point, I'd say like I have my drinking under control, like
Mhm.
not thinking it's an issue, just thinking it's a social thing, like not realizing that it's kind of helping me cope with things that
Mhm.
I didn't
Yeah.
realize I was coping with through alcohol. I was like, get off work, like, oh, I'm just going to have a beer,
Right.
Yeah.
mow my lawn. I'm just going to have a beer, like all those little things all the time. Finish my recruiting time. I'm a platoon sergeant, still drinking, go to selection, go to the Q course, show up to Fifth Special Forces Group. And there, it's even crazier how much we promote alcohol here. Like, we have our own bar. I'm like, this is crazy how much we normalize it. But the moment someone messes up and gets a DUI or something, you're going to crucify them and destroy their career and their life.
Which
Like,
makes no sense, right?
it's
Yeah.
a huge double standard. It makes me very mad. But I guess to fast forward through all that, it was almost 2 years ago now. I just was like at another low point. I'm like questioning my decision. Why did I come SF? Like, was this a good decision? I could have stayed in my current career path and made Sergeant Major. It's like all the emotions are just running through my head. So I started going to behavioral health and was interested in quitting drinking, but hadn't quit yet. Um, and then like we kind of talked about it and she educated me a little bit on it. And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna run this triathlon in a few months. I'm just gonna quit drinking for a little bit, just to see how I feel. So I quit, and since then I haven't started again.
Oh, good. Nice.
Yeah. When was that again?
That was
Yeah.
July 7th of 2023. So this year will be 2 years.
Wow.
That's huge.
That's
That's
amazing.
huge.
So my whole life has been surrounded by drugs and alcohol and partying in my entire career. Like it's just been something that we normalize. And
Mhm.
I didn't realize how much stuff I thought I was okay with, whether it was childhood trauma, trauma from deployments, or whatever.
Mhm.
So now I had to learn how to deal with these things all over again. I was just like, it took a while. Honestly, I would say like 18 months before like recently, like a few months ago is when I really started to like see the benefits of it and like see like the more like positive aspect of myself. Like I felt better initially, but I still had things going on that I was trying to deal with to where I was like, man, like I don't even know what was the point? I still don't feel better.
Mhm.
So it was hard to like stay on the path. Now I feel fine. Like it doesn't bother me, but I had to learn how to cope with those things. And then I would say like the hardest part was disassociating alcohol with fun.
Right. That's
Yeah.
very difficult. Yep.
Okay.
And that's what keeps a lot of people from sobriety because they're like, well, how can I do the things that I love without alcohol? It's a tough transition. Absolutely. New sponsor, Marathon Business Advisory Services, the premier mergers and acquisitions advisory and business consulting firm serving small to mid-sized businesses in southeastern Pennsylvania and the Pittsburgh area. Whether you're buying, selling, or just planning for the future, Marathon is your trusted partner. They specialize in succession planning, business valuations, performance improvement, and helping you maximize the value of your business when it's time to sell. And here's something special for our veteran entrepreneurs. Marathon is currently representing a veteran-owned business for sale, a fantastic opportunity if you're looking to own your first business or expand through acquisition. Want to learn more? It's completely confidential with no cost and no obligation. Just reach out to Jay at j.calandra@marathonbas.com. That's j.calandra@marathonbas.com. Marathon Business Advisory Services, helping you go the distance in business. Now, what did you do to kind of, in the beginning, were you just mentally tough and you were like, you know what, I made a decision, I'm just going to do this, but I'm not going to drink? Or what tools did you use?
So that's where the music comes in. because I always played when I was younger. Wrote songs since I was like 15 or something. But I stopped playing for a very long time. And as I'm like meeting with my behavioral health specialist, I'm learning these things. And I'm like, I literally Googled it one day. I have a bad habit of Googling things. Uh, how to be more present, play an instrument. I was like, oh, I have one of those.
Wow, there you go.
So
Okay.
I go up there and get the guitar and like I start playing. And like now my mind is clear, I'm not drinking anymore. And I have all these great things to write about and like songs to write now, whether they're through my career or life or whatever. Like, I've never been able to write songs so quickly because I was always so cloudy. Now it's like I have this better ability to just get stuff on paper and like make sense of it. So it's been a huge outlet.
Mhm.
Yeah, definitely. The music has helped me quit drinking, and not drinking has helped me have the confidence to go and like play in front of people and start like releasing music.
Nice. That's good. So it gave you that clarity. Yeah, that's huge to have that clarity. Now, you do the music as well? You're not just a songwriter. Like you perform it and you do the music because I see you with your guitar.
Yeah. I play guitar. And then like for the stuff I recorded, I just hired someone to
Okay.
like do the drums and the bass and like produce it and everything for me.
Nice.
So I just play guitar, write songs, and sing.
Okay, because yeah, War Machine, that's such a huge song. I've been listening to it, and my oldest son's 22. He's thinking about joining some sort of special forces or something. And I told him we were doing this podcast, and he was like, "Dad, that song's pretty badass." I was like, "I'm talking to this guy tomorrow." He was like,
Nice.
"That is so
Yeah.
cool." So it paints a beautiful story of civilian, military, war, back to civilian. And one part I wanted to kind of tell you that affected me was towards the end. I'm just assuming this is like when you're dreaming. It says, "It seems I'm paralyzed from all the horrible things that I've seen. It's something you never asked for, something you can't quite explain. It's something you'll never understand, how a man becomes a war machine." That resonated with me, dude. Like, even right now, that gives me goosebumps.
It seems I'm paralyzed from all the horrible things that I've seen. It's something you never asked for, something you can't quite explain.
Like I said, for those out there that haven't heard it, go listen to this song. It's called War Machine. So, Michael, can you kind of explain that part and how that transpired?
Yeah. So it's kind of just being trapped in your own mind with like things that you've seen that most people probably don't understand. And like, I don't know how to explain it or articulate it to anybody who hasn't lived through it themselves.
Hmm.
So it's like an internal struggle that you carry with you, basically for the rest of your life, like, and some people deal with it different than others. Yeah, the verse kind of like started. I used to, when I came back from one of my points, I had real bad sleep paralysis, I guess, to where like I would feel like I was awake and I could hear the enemy like in my house, right? And like I was trying to wake up and reach for my weapon with everything I had in me. Like I would feel like I'm screaming to wake up.
Mm.
I hear the radio chatter, literally, like I could hear the radio chatter while I'm sleeping. I'm trying to get my weapon because when you're deployed, you sleep with your weapon right next to you. And then like finally I would jump out of bed, and sometimes I get halfway down the hallway before I realize like, yo, I'm at home. Like
Wow.
my
Yeah.
gun's not even here, like that it's in the arms room.
Mhm.
Mhm.
And that went on for a while. It was, yeah.
Were you able to work through that in therapy?
I was one of those guys who was like, I don't really need therapy initially.
Mhm.
You could go through your initial counselings when you come back because, like, everyone in our unit, they kind of knew that everyone was going to need to talk to somebody.
Yeah.
But other than like maybe one or two meetings, and then they gave me a bunch of sleeping medicine, and then that was that.
Wow.
So alcohol, getting intoxicated enough to fall asleep and like skip that stage, or think that
Mhm.
you're sleeping well. No, I didn't learn till later that that's not how that works.
Right.
Right.
Um, so yeah, that was kind of where that first came from. And it's crazy because like I've always had vivid dreams anyway. Like I always remember them. And I think back to it when I was a little kid, I used to have these nightmares. Did you guys ever watch Nightmare on Elm Street?
Oh, absolutely.
Of
Freddy
course,
Krueger.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that was like my favorite scary movie, but it gave me the worst nightmares. Well, I
Wow.
used to
Yeah.
have these nightmares that we were fighting, and he'd stab me in the stomach, and my stomach would hurt when I woke up. as a little
Oh,
kid. And
wow.
then I started having those like way later in my life, but I've just always had those like weird dreams where like I would wake up either sweating or sore, or like I was just in this traumatic event that like
Mm.
carried over into my like present being. It's weird. I don't know how to explain it other than that. And then so in 2013, my brother passed away. It started happening again, but this one was maybe even worse. But my little brother would be like, "Come find me." Like we were playing hide and seek, and he'd be like,
Wow.
"Come find me." And I was like trying to get up because he passed away already. So I'm like trying to get up and like run after my brother and go find him.
Hmm.
And like I can't move. And I just hear
Oh,
my little brother's voice in my head, "Come find me, Michael, come find me." And it was like,
wow, that is tough.
and
Ooh,
that took me really far down. Like that
right.
was when like the alcohol abuse became definitely the worst.
Understandable, dude. That is tough to deal with. Now, at this time, were you staying with your wife? Like, were you jumping out of bed and she's like, honey, are you okay? Or where are you at this point?
So that was in Italy. Um, I left there in 2015, and then my wife had moved in probably like, I don't know, maybe 6 months later after I moved back home. Um, but even then, like I would have these weird dreams where like I'd be laying in bed and I'd feel like this, like, this is crazy. This like evil spirit would be like lingering over me, like just breathing these devilish sounds, and I'd be like screaming at her, like, "Wake me up." Like, get
Wow.
I can't just I'm like trying to get up because I felt like this evil presence was over me. And I would try and get up, and then I would wake up and I would jump out like over, like we had a gate in our door because we had a dog and he would jump in bed with us. But I'd like jump over this thing and I'd be like in my living room before I realized like, oh, like,
Wow.
okay, I can go back to bed if I could fall back asleep.
Yeah,
But
yeah, because at that point your heart is beating. I'm sure you're sweaty. Oh, dude, that
yeah.
sucks, man. So what helped you with that? Just time?
Yeah, I haven't had one of those in a long time now. Probably since 2018. I feel like that was the last time I had one of those. But yeah, I kind of just I don't know, honestly. Because
Oh,
like I can't say it was like I quit drinking and that helped because like I continued to drink for a while. I think it was like like you were saying, just time.
mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gotcha. And you were taking the Ambien.
That
Yeah.
I think I was off of it by then.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I definitely probably needed it, but combining that with alcohol, like and it wasn't actually, helping me with anything. It was maybe like treating it for the short term, but never fixing the root of the problem. I was like, oh, let's just treat it. It's like I need to figure out why I'm
Yeah.
having these issues.
Right.
Yeah. Because there's some side effects. That's why I was saying there's some side effects to those medications, those sleeping medications, and hallucinations sometimes
Hmm.
is one of them.
Now, did you have any battle buddies that you could lean on? Anyone else that was sober or even not sober, just someone that would be a ear for you or
Yeah, but like they were going through their own stuff too.
right.
In Italy, like it's a lonely assignment if you go there single. And there's really not much else there to do other than party. And like, even if you go sightseeing or something, like, I don't like, again, it's just part of the culture. So like, and the people I surrounded myself and like, I still talk to these people, right? But like, we were all going through our own struggles and we all coped with them the same way. So we just got together and coped. And it was like, it wasn't the answer for sure. Yeah, I mean, having the right people to talk to, I mean, I don't know, probably not. I didn't feel like it. I felt super isolated there.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
It was probably the least, you think like, oh, you're in Italy, it's so beautiful. And it was great.
Yeah.
But I didn't feel like I had the support that I needed for what I was going through at that point in my life and my career for sure. And then you're like, I'm in a leadership position. So it's like, you don't want to show weakness. So
Right.
I'm showing up every day and really like surviving and like thriving even because I'm in a leadership position in my career, and the perception of what people thought of me and my ability to do my job was the most important thing, like
Mm-hmm.
more important than myself, my person or my physical and mental health. Like more important was like being a good leader for the guys. I prioritize that always.
Right.
So that's where going home on recruiting gave me time to not be responsible for anyone else but myself, and I was
Okay.
able to start like getting my stuff together.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
makes sense. I could totally relate. So I was talking about my 22-year-old son earlier. The other day, he was like, Dad, you never showed me your military pictures. Like, I asked about them, but you said wait till you're after 18. Because I was like, yeah, because I have some stories that you kind of need to be 18 to hear. So I dusted them off. I went and found them in the basement. I brought them upstairs. And I basically have two books. One is a serious soldiering book, like us going to war, being deployed, AIT, boot camp, all that stuff. And then I had the barracks book where it's just us partying. I was like, which one do you want to look at first? So he's like, let's look at the serious one. So we go through that. Everything was good. Then we start looking at the party book. And as I'm flipping through the pages, it's just us in building 2479. Every other one, I'm doing a beer bong. The barracks are just lined with empty cans of Natty Ice. We're doing this drink off with 151. Like, we were, and Michael, quick backstory. So we were stationed at Fort Bliss in El Paso, Texas. I was in the Air Defense Artillery along with Dr. Thomas. And back at that time, we were in the western tip. We were in El Paso, Texas. So we were right next to Juarez. So they made Fort Bliss drinking age 18 so soldiers wouldn't go to Mexico. So here we are, 18-year-olds with no parental supervision, just getting white girl wasted like every day,
Wasted.
dude.
They were getting wasted.
Dude, like doing like, have you ever played Edward 40 Hands? Like, we were doing dumb shit like that. Yeah, like just stupid things. Like, literally every evening, every weekend. There were even weekends. Like, this is how bad my alcoholism was. Our weekends were so short. So what we would do is we'd wake up early Saturday morning, get drunk by noon, pass out, wake up around like 4 or 5 or 6, go out to the club, start drinking again, get drunk by 2, 3 a.m. So that way now you're getting drunk twice in one day just to maximize like the weekends, dude. Like, it was so bad. And it's funny because like back then I thought it was the greatest thing ever because here I am with a bunch of soldiers that I've never met before. We're partying, we're having fun. There's so much love. There's so much laughter. Like, we were just savages. And when I look back at it, and like my son, he's sober. He doesn't drink. He's drank probably like 20 times in his life. He's like, this isn't for me, which I'm very proud of him for that fact. But as we're going through this second book, I'm like, dude, like, my whole life revolved around alcohol. Like, every one of these pictures I'm wasted in or dressing up and doing something stupid because I was wasted. Like, yeah, dude, it's in our culture, man. It's so tough to break free. Are you or do you know a veteran who is struggling with substance abuse that could use some motivation? Have them tune in. Look, they won't change until they're ready to, but if we could cause a crack in the dam, it doesn't hurt to listen. If you are a sober veteran that would like to share your story in hopes to inspire others, please contact us at thissobervet.com. Show notes and more info could be found at thissobervet.com, and be sure to check us out on social media. We'd love to connect with you. That's why I'm very proud of you for doing 2 years. You're in, you're sober. Dude, that is amazing. So,
that is.
Yeah.
So it seems like you did a lot just on your own, just with your mental capacity. So there's nothing like, no support you leaned on. Like, what would you do when you wanted a beer? Because I know like a month into being sober, besides the training and everything, what if you're like something bad happened, you normally would drink it off? What would you do to not drink it off?
Honestly, I think I kind of lied to myself a little bit and acted like I didn't want one. And I would tell other people like like I didn't want it, or like initially I wasn't telling anyone because again, like it's the expectations of others have a huge influence.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't tell anyone. I was like, yeah, man, I'm just not drinking because I have this triathlon coming up,
Right.
Yeah.
I didn't tell anyone other than like my wife and like my therapist that I was like going through some things and like trying to like just work through it. Like even my family, like I wouldn't tell them because initially they like that's just in my I come from a big Italian family, right? So it's like I'm surrounded by it every
Mhm.
aspect of my life. And my wife, she's like, well, if you're not drinking, I'm not drinking. I was like, well, that's extremely
awesome.
helpful.
Good.
So
good.
like she hasn't drank neither, which is super helpful.
Nice.
Yes.
But yeah, honestly, in a weird way, the only time I craved something to drink was in a social setting. Remember the first time we went to a concert down in Nashville, it's like, well, what do I do with my hands if I'm in a social environment and I'm drinking, dude? I'm
Right.
freaking like and I've always had really bad anxiety and like kind of like in social settings, like, and I didn't realize that I would drink constantly to deal with that anxiety. So I
Mhm.
was like, let me just get a water, dude. Like, let me just get something in my hand.
Right.
So that led to now I drink probably an unhealthy amount of LaCroix.
Okay. Good. There you go.
Like and I'm always hydrated, but as long as I have something in my hand, I'm sipping on something like I'm fine being in a social setting with other people drinking. Like, again, the culture at work, like in the team room, like when you get a new guy, we have a beer fridge, right? So after training, like guys have a beer or two, and then like they go home or whatever. We do our like after action review and we talk about stuff. Guys have a beer, which is fine. Like doesn't bother me. Um, but I have LaCroix in the fridge, like it doesn't bother me. I did go home a few weeks ago. I went home for our baby shower, and being back home in the environment with my friends, and like we're like, yeah, man, we'll just go to the bar. I'm like, I've been to several bars, I've been in several social settings where I haven't been drinking and I've felt fine. But going to my hometown where it all began and being around those people and not drinking, that was like I started to have that anxiety
That's
again.
tough.
So I'm slamming soda waters, like to just feel okay. But for the most part, like nobody knows. And if I'm drinking soda water, like everyone just assumes I'm drinking a vodka tonic or something.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and honestly, like drunk people don't know if you're drunk or not.
No, not at all.
Don't care
Yeah.
neither. So
Don't.
like, like I'm just
Yeah.
drinking my stuff, and as far as they know, I'm drinking
Yeah.
too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So no AA, uh,
No.
nothing like that. What does your support system look like now?
My wife, my behavioral health specialist, and my guitar, and my dogs,
Okay. Yeah.
my health, my mental health. Like
Mhm.
it's all, I guess, like individually based. I'm indifferent about like AA and NA.
Okay.
My dad tried that. I mean, he was a drug addict, so he tried NA when I was maybe like going into high school. Um, and like the 12-step program and all that, like I think it like destroyed his life and gave him unrealistic expectations. And I think it's probably good for some people, but where he was like, he's still affected by it today. And it's like he thought accepting the Lord and Savior Jesus Christ into his life while also living this program, the Bible and the 12-step program, like was going to give him all these great things while he's sober. And none of that stuff ever came because he didn't understand, like, that's not how the world works. You still have, like, you can't just clean up your act and like pray to God. Like, you still have to go and put in work and effort. And he was trying, but like, it still makes a difference on how you market yourself and like how you prepare yourself for life in your earlier years of life. And I'm not saying it's once you're a certain age, it's too late to get your stuff together, but there's just that much more work you need to do to
Mm-hmm.
get a good job and be successful. And I guess I should give a little more backstory to that. When he was 19, he fell really like 150 feet at work. He got like $1 million settlement
Oh
when he
wow.
was like 21. So what do you do when you're born in the 70s, raised in the 80s, and get $1 million at 20 in your early 20s?
You go
Like
to the disco.
100%. Yeah. So, and it just didn't work for him. So I was like, I would go to an AA meeting. I would go to an NA meeting, like, but I didn't want to rely on that. I was maybe that's not the smartest thing, but up to this point, like I haven't felt like I needed anything other than just like being home with my wife and
Okay.
just like playing my guitar and like I don't
Yeah.
maybe I wasn't an alcoholic. I have no idea. Like I'm not saying I am or I wasn't.
Mhm.
But I know I didn't need meetings to get me to where I'm at now. Um
Yeah.
I will say that a few weeks ago I played a show, and one of the guys there, I guess he's been sober for like 14 years. Um he noticed of all people, like I played a show about drinking and doing drugs and partying and stuff. And then I'm on stage drinking water. He's like, "Hey man, like I noticed you're drinking water." I was like, "Yeah, man, like I'm sober, I don't drink or whatever." He's like, "Dude, like that's cool." He's like, "Where do you go to meetings?" And I'm like, "Well, I don't." Um, he's like, "Oh, well, would you like to?" I was like, and I kind of gave him like a brief summary. I was like, I don't have anything against it. I don't think I need it. And I know like from one alcoholic to another, like they're probably like, okay, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mhm.
but I was like, I would be more than happy to come share my story, because I do love sharing my story with people because I think it might help some of them. And honestly, when I do hear other people's story, I'm like, it gives me a little bit of like, like, man, maybe my situation wasn't that bad. He enjoyed the songs, he enjoyed the lyrics and such. And he said there's a lot of veterans there. And I was like,
Nice.
man, like I would be more than happy to come share and like listen to other people's stories too. I was like, I'm not against that by any means. So I hit him up. I was like, hey man, it's just me. Like, let me know when the meetings are and stuff. I haven't heard back, but again, like I'm not against it, but I haven't used it or felt like I needed it up to this point.
You know, it's wild to me when it comes to this whole sobriety thing, especially with alcohol. I actually only with alcohol. When you're at a bar and you say you don't drink, people kind of look at you, and sometimes people will ask why not. But if someone offers you like crack, like, no, dude, I don't smoke crack, they're like, oh, cool, that's fine. But why, like, does that not make sense to anybody else? It's like, really,
Yeah.
your line is drawn with me not drinking alcohol? Like, come on.
Uh,
Like,
it frustrates me. I don't like how we promote alcohol. But there's probably other things out there that are more natural. I'm not promoting one or the other, but if I'm looking at like someone who smokes marijuana versus drinks alcohol, like if I had to pick between what my soldiers were going to go do after work,
mhm,
I would rather them go smoke a little bit of marijuana and pass
right,
out than go get drunk and drive or get in a fight or do something stupid.
exactly.
And like
Yep.
I don't do
Yeah.
either. I'm not condoning either,
Right.
but that's just another example. Like back in the day, like when I was a kid, like marijuana, the devil's lettuce, it's so bad for you, blah, blah, blah. You know, it's like now it's become more socially acceptable. And there's like all these different studies and there's this, that, and the third. It's medicinal in certain places. But alcohol has been a thing for I don't know how many years now, but it's always just been really bad for you and had probably some of the most catastrophic like uh like effects on people's lives and the individual.
It's literally it's a poison. It's just a socially acceptable poison. You know, yeah, it's not. There's no good effects of alcohol on the human body, in my opinion, and especially in people like me and you, where I could never just drink one. Like as soon as I drank one, I'd be like, "Ooh, I'm starting to feel warm." Bust the second one down. "Ooh, I'm feeling even better." Third one, boom, like I'm gonna be the last one up. You know, like yeah, it's just and that's just my personality, and that's when I realized I was an alcoholic, because when I found out people could just go out on a Friday night, have one or two drinks, and not even drink till the next Friday when they go out, I was like, what? I was like, you can not drink the whole week, like, and just have two when you go out. Like when I would go out, I would go all out. I was a full throttle drinker. Like I would drink until I passed out, or until I couldn't afford to buy anymore, or if I was stuck somewhere. But yeah, it's tough. And I got that from my dad. I mean, it's genetic. Like I remember as a kid, we would ride in my dad's van, and he would have the cooler next to him with Miller Lite in it. He'd have like a six pack. He had this paper grocery bag right behind his seat. So after he would finish one, he would crush
Oh
it, put it in
man.
the trash can behind it, open the next one. So to me, drinking and driving was the norm. That's how I was
Yeah.
raised. I was like, this is wrong. And dude, when I was drinking, I would mix SoCo and Coke, and I would drive around, and like, yeah, it's so irresponsible. It's crazy.
Yeah. And the military culture too, though. You work
Oh,
hard, you
it's
party hard,
everywhere.
right?
Exactly.
And that's something like I'm actively trying to change. Like not like I don't like preach sobriety to my guys all the time. Like they know I don't drink. They know if they ever are intoxicated and you need a ride, like they can call me. And I don't just say that because I'm supposed to as their team sergeant. Like I say that because like I care and I really don't drink, you know? But in our line of work or like where we're at our level like of operating, I'm like, hey man, like you should really think of yourself like a professional athlete. Like we are the NFL of the army. Those guys don't get drunk before game day. Maybe some of them do, right? But for the most part, like we should be operating above like the normal, soldiers in the army. So maybe not drinking or like is what's expected of us. But it's so ingrained in the culture. Honestly, one of the hardest things I had to do is we were on a training exercise in Central Asia last year. And when you're with your partner force and like the partner force commanders, depending on where you're at, you drink and be social, and like
Mhm.
they want to get
Right.
you drunk,
Uh-huh.
like, and it's hard to be, like, like no, like I don't drink, because like it's part of the job in that aspect. That was a difficult situation just because I felt like I wasn't being the ambassador to that I'm supposed to be to the United States. So I'm doing these foreign exercises with these partners and we're building relationships.
Right.
And most of them, like their cultures are just so much different. Like, the way they look at men and women and everything and like just much different than America. So when you say you don't drink, to them you're probably less of a man. So you're losing a little bit of like the relationship, or the respect that you
Uh-huh.
would be gaining if you were just pounding shots with them.
Damn,
So
that's tough. That's a good point. Yeah.
That is,
Yeah.
that is. How do you handle that now, Michael?
Honestly, I don't care what anybody thinks. Like, that has been the most incredible feeling, and I would never have got there had I not quit drinking. I don't care what anybody thinks about me. Maybe there's sometimes I find myself like slipping up, but for the most part, like whether it's sharing music or just being honest with myself and honest with others, or like sharing these stories today, like I'm very transparent about everything because I finally found the point, like the peace in my life where I really don't care what you think of me.
That's
Um,
a beautiful thing too. That is a beautiful thing. And that's hard for a lot of people to get to because you have to go through the fire to be able to get on that side. Because I'm the same way now. My confidence is higher than it ever was when I was at my drunkest, you know? And yeah, I now speak my mind more. I now have lines where I don't accept certain behavior from people, whereas before I was just like, it is what it is. Like, no, now I'm like, nope, that's wrong. I'm out, you know, and that's a beautiful thing. I feel free. You know, I feel like the chains of addiction have been broken, and like now I can finally live my life and be me and who God wanted me to be, you know, and that's a level of freedom that is only obtainable through sobriety, in my opinion, and it's a beautiful thing.
That is awesome. Michael, what would you say to other servicemen and women who are trying to, say, I want to do it, but I don't know if I can? What would you say to them if they're at a crossroads?
Man, that one, like good on them for even thinking about it, right? And
Hmm.
considering it and identifying that like it is a problem, or maybe it's not a problem yet, but they see that it's not the most healthiest choice for them. Um, and I would say you do need to surround yourself with people that will support your, like your way of life. So like if you hang out with a bunch of people that party, like it's going to be much more difficult for you to make that change as opposed to like hanging out with a bunch of people who do triathlons or play a sport or something. Like that was kind of what helped me. Um, so yeah, just I'm not saying alienate your friends. Like I haven't alienated any of mine, but at this point in my life, like I'm at home in the house with my wife. You guys may be in the barracks to where like you're surrounded by it.
Yeah.
So it'll be a little more difficult for you, but it's not impossible. You just have to change your hobbies and the people that you're surrounding yourself with, at least initially, until you get over that hump. Um, and then eventually, like it's just who you are, you just don't drink. And you also like don't make a big deal out of it. Like don't go telling people like, yeah, man, I'm quitting drinking. Like just do it and keep it to yourself. And you would be surprised how many people really don't even notice. My name is Michael Sandilla, and that's how I became the sober vet.